the best of Money Matters. The Hot Seat.
Welcome to the Hot Seat, a debate segment where ideas clash and insights spark. I'm your host, Hongbin, Jeong. Now, if you've been keeping track of car prices here in Singapore, you'll know the pain. A certificate of entitlement for a family car can now cost more than the car itself. Taking a quick look at the latest bidding exercise in July now, COE premiums closed higher across the board. For smaller cars in Category A, premiums closed over 101,000 Sing dollars, up by 3% from the last exercise. Meanwhile, COE premiums for most more powerful cars in Category B rose to more than $119,000, up by about 3,000. So for many Singaporeans, owning a vehicle feels increasingly out of reach. But is this just the price of living in a land-scarce city, or is the COE system itself due for a rethink? Again, should Singapore's COE systems be, reformed to better account for social equity, or would doing so create more problems than it solves? Well, before we hear from our guests and dive deeper into this debate, here's a disclaimer. The views and arguments presented by our interviewees do not necessarily reflect their personal beliefs or opinions. Instead, they are here to provide a fresh perspective on the topic at hand. On that note, if you'd like to send some questions in for our guests or send in your opinions, feel free to WhatsApp us at 88550893 or leave a comment on our Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube, as we're currently streaming live on those platforms as well. Now, without further ado, joining us today is Kwee Neng, who is the managing partner at One Strategic Consulting, to share with us why Singapore's COE system should be reformed to better account for social equity. And we also have Terence, who's assistant professor of strategy and entrepreneurship at the Chian School of Business at SMU, who will try to convince us otherwise. Welcome to the show, both.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you so much for joining us. Well, just to start off, I have a question for both of you here. Now, the original purpose of the COE was to limit congestion and preserve road capacity. But given that there are concerns that it may not adequately address the needs of certain groups with mobility challenges, do you think the current system is flawed or not? Perhaps, Terence, we can go with you first.
Sure. Well, in Singapore, we have very limited space, and that includes road space, a part of the land that we devote for roads as well. So it's like trying to share or divide a small loaf of bread among 1 million people. And you can think about the government not having a lot of superpowers to do that. And however we divide that small loaf of bread, somebody is going to say, hey, I deserve more than the crumbs, So this is, I think, the situation where we're at. And I would say the only superpower that the government really has here is a lot of subsidies in terms of giving us a world-class public transport system, which suits most of our needs here. So in that sense, I wouldn't say that it's any more unfair than to say that, hey, we've got 6 million people now, we need more rain, please give us more rain. I think it's no more unfair than that. So I think it's what we could do, and it's just not very productive to keep doing the rain dance otherwise.
Kwee Neng, what are your thoughts?
So it says on the tin that COEs are meant to reduce traffic congestion. I bet if you were to do a straw poll of all the motorists stuck in jams right now, they would probably say that, hey, we pay $7 billion a year to solve traffic congestion, but traffic congestion is still here. Most experts will agree that COE is an extremely blunt instrument to solve traffic congestion. So if you were to take it from that point of view, then perhaps it is flawed in terms of using COEs to address an issue like traffic congestion. But I would also like to maybe take another angle, and that is what are the social outcomes COEs have brought to Singapore. It's been here since 1990, and during that period of time, a lot has changed. We have become the world's fastest aging nation. Our total birth rates have actually fallen from 1.82 to 1.25. Some blame it on the highest cost of living, of which owning a car is probably a contributor to that. And on top of that, I think we are also in a position where our population has literally gone from 3 million to 6 million right now. So the COE system has largely stayed the same while so much has changed to affect the demand for transportation in Singapore. And so I would say that there are plenty of reasons why I think that the COE system can be enhanced to adapt to the changing needs of Singaporeans.
Definitely. Well, Singapore's COE premiums have crossed $100,000 for some car categories in recent years, pricing out many middle-income families. So, Terence, in that case, is it fair that car ownership in Singapore is effectively gated by who has the money to afford one, even for families with legitimate needs like caregiving or shift work?
Well, okay, that's a very fair question. But just before I address it, I just wanted to backtrack a little bit because, yes, our CO system has been in place since the 90s, but it's not the exact system that was in place. There are some tweaks in there along the way. For example, taxis at some point in time, people had to bid for their COEs to get a taxi in. But now you can bring a taxi in, you just have to pay the equivalent. So there are changes here and there and sort of categories for small cars and things like that, small tweaks that had arrived here. So it's not like the system is totally, just from the 90s without any tweaks. It had been tweaked. And so, but the basic system, the basic idea still works. And all you need to do is to take a visit at some of the nearby capital cities within ASEAN and maybe during some peak hours and experience what it's like without a COE being really stuck in traffic. And when I say stuck in traffic there, your car really don't move a lot. Unless what we have in Singapore where you kind of move along and gradually you kind of get to where you go. So it's a real difference.
So I want to take up that point because there is an example that contradicts what Terence just said.
Okay.
Let's take Hong Kong, another global city, right? It's very similar to Singapore. Hong Kong has about 7.5 million people. Singapore is about 6. They have about 922,000 cars there. We have about shade over 1 million. They have about 645,000 private cars. We have about 657. So it's a very close approximation. Even though Hong Kong is about 1.5 times larger than Singapore, they only have about 2,241 kilometers of road. We are 52% smaller than Hong Kong, but we have 9,000 over kilometers of road. So the government has done an extraordinary job addressing road usage. The problem here is when I do a straw poll among my Hong Kong friends who have been here as well, they say traffic is really bad in Hong Kong, but when they experience our peak time traffic, they say not much difference. And here's the thing, they don't have COEs in Hong Kong. Cars in Hong Kong cost 441% less than in Singapore. A BYD Atto costs about 41,000 there. It costs 173,000 here.
Definitely. Thank you so much both for joining me today.
Thank you.
Thank you. We've been speaking to Kwee Neng, who is the managing partner at One Strategic Consulting, and Terence Phan, who's the assistant professor of strategy and entrepreneurship at the Lee Kong Chian School of Business at SMU. Tune in again next week for another hot seat. I've been your host, Hongbin, Jeong.
To listen to the full interview, download our podcasts at audio.sg or download the audio app. That's AWEDIO, audio at the App Store and Google Play.